Hello, in this video I'm going to explain how to search a string by converting it into a list and iterating through each list element. So the first thing I have here is I have a variable named version, and that variable is the output of show version on an Extreme XOS device. So the first thing I want to do is I want to convert this string, it's a multi-line string, I want to convert it into a list. So the way I'm going to do that is by calling the string split function. So I'm going to create a new variable, and that's going to be equal to the result or the return of the split function. So I'm going to version, the string version, I'm going to split it, and I'm going to split it on the new line character. And let's take a look at exactly what that happens here. So I'm going to print version list, and let's see what happens. I've even got a breakpoint here so we can run this in debugging and see what version list actually looks like. So right now I'm stopped at my breakpoint, so if I go up here I can see that version is indeed a string, and I can see these new line characters in between my new lines of the actual string. Now if I scroll down a little bit more, we'll see that version list is indeed a list now. You can see all of the list element numbers, and you can see each line, and if there's a line, just a blank line, it shows it as an empty string. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a loop, and I'm going to loop through this entire list. So I'm going to do let me get rid of this print func statement and turn off that debugging marker. I killed my terminal also so I have more screen space. Now I've got my version list. Now let me loop through each of it. So let's first call in the range function. I'll create a variable, and that's going to be equal to I'm going to create a new variable called my version length, and I'm going to loop through it. So now I'll do a for loop. So what this is going to do is this is going to create a variable x, which is an integer, and x is going to start at 0, and it's going to end at however long this list is. So if I want to print this, just to make sure this is working right, I'm going to print version list as a string, or each element at a time, put my colon in there. Now I can call a print function, and I will call version list. Oops, I got to change that S to an X. So now all I'm doing is, let's actually turn on debugging and walk through what is happening. Run, and I will start this in debugging. So now I'm looping through each element, and we can see version list, it's still a list. We have the square braces and comma separated strings. The first time this list iterates, x is going to be equal to 0, length is going to be equal to 19, so this is going to happen 19 times. So the first time we're going to do it is we're going to print version list, which is our list, and we're going to print position 0 first. And as I keep iterating through this list, you can see that as I get to the end of my loop, I go back to the beginning, and x increments by 1. So that's working right. So now the next thing I want to do is I want to find out if there is a value in here. So I don't really want to print this again for my display, so I'll just comment this line out. And the next thing I want to do is I'm going to look for the string. Go back to the string. I want to find, this is the value I want to find, but I can't just search for this value because that value is dynamic. It could be anything. So I'm going to look for this string right here. So now to search an element to see if something is contained in that line, I'll do the if x in function. So if, I'll put my string in here. If I find that string in list position X, I can do something. Let's just start with the print function. Let's call that a variable. And I'll call that software version. That's going to be equal to version list X, and I create a whole new variable for this. And then I can print that. So let's take a look at this and see if this actually runs before I move any further. Clean up my terminal, and I will run this. And I would expect to find, there we go, there's my new variable. Now the next thing I want to do is I've got this string, but this is the only value I want. So what I can do now is call the split function a couple more times, and I'll pull this value out of it. So the first thing I want to do is I want to split it on the word version, and that will return position 0, anything to the left of version, and position 1 will be anything to the right of version. So let's take a look at that. So I will call, I'll just rewrite over the software version variable. So software version is now going to be equal to version.split, and I'm going to search for the word version. I'm going to search for this word right here. I'll put a space there just to get rid of this white space if I need to, just to make sure that that white space goes away. And making software version.split. And what I really want is this value right here, the one to the right. So I'm going to call it position 1. And let's throw this print in here again just so we can see what's happening. So let's kill this terminal and run it again. Now the first time I printed, this was software version. Now we've split it down to here. So the last thing I want to do is take just this value, 32.1.1.6. So software version is this. I'm just going to copy this and split it again. So now I'm going to split and take position 0, and I'm going to split on the space character. So software version, the latest iteration of software version is that. I'm going to split it on this space character and take position 0 now. So let's take a look at how that looks. Let me turn off debugging my breakpoint. And I'll run this without debugging, and we should see the 3 prints. The first time, this is where we pulled the value out of the list with a search function, the ifxn value or function. And then the first time we split it, we isolated it down to this. We split it on the keyword version, and position 1 was this value right here. It's this code right here. I'm splitting it and taking the position 1 of that list. And once I had that, I split it again on the space bar, the space character, and I retrieved just the actual software version without knowing the value I was searching for.